everyone, this is Amanda at Amanda's Booktopia. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. And today I'm going to be talking about my top reads for March and April. Honestly, I've been reading way too much, and I don't feel like talking about every single book I've read in one video, because that would take us forever. Like, literally, forever. And I don't think you really want to stick around for 60 plus books. Because we'd seriously be here for hours if I were to talk about each and every one. So instead, I'm going to talk about my top reads from the past couple months. The spring months brought some pretty good books. Most of them, I think, were around like an average between like a 3 and a 4 star. However, I did have some really good ones. So the only ones I'm going to be talking about are my 4.5 stars and higher. So a 4.5 to a 5 would be what I consider my best. So we are going to do just that. I have some of them are ebooks that I will be talking about. I have very few physical books. Most of them I read on my Kindle. So we're going to start with the first one that I read on my Kindle that turned out to be a 5-star in March. It was my very first book of March, actually. I started on March 1st and finished it the day after. I think I stayed up that whole night reading it, actually. It's called When Blood Runs Red by Patricia Pryor. This was a 5-star read. I absolutely devoured this book. I did not realize going into it there's going to be some sci-fi elements. And there was also a sister relationship that really develops. And I absolutely devoured this. From beginning to end, I was addicted. I did not know going in, like, this was an arc that I was reading for the author, like, before it was actually published. When was it actually published? Let me look. Came out March 22nd, so this is my first book of March. I absolutely loved it. We are following Arya and her sister. I forgot her sister's name. Oh yeah, Luna. It's in the description. Arya and Luna. And they go on their own paths in this book, even though they're sisters. And then there's Dom. Oh man, Dom. I swear, any book that has the name Dom in it, I seem to absolutely love. And this one had another Dom. And like, I was obsessed with him. He was all-time favorite MMC. Probably one of my top. Definitely one of my favorite reads of the month, for sure. There was some genetically engineering going on in this book. There's like... They describe it as a dark, seductive urban fantasy filled with twisted betrayals, deadly romance, and a world where power is the only thing more dangerous than love. It says, perfect for fans of these violent delights, the Mortal Instruments, and From Blood and Ash. And it contains graphic violence, mature themes, and adult situations. So it's mostly for 18 plus. However, I was sucked in, and I absolutely love this book so much. I cannot wait for the sequel. The way this one ended, I need the next book. I honestly cannot wait. And seriously, you have to, if you haven't read When Blood Runs Red, I highly recommend doing so, because it was just that good. And my next best book was 4.5 stars. This is The 13th Cage Breaker by Melissa Jean Vallejos. I'm hoping I say that right. I'm not sure. The only reason why this was a 4.5 was because I wasn't crazy about the insta-love right away. However, I love the world. I love the characters in this. The magic system was so cool. Like, they used music for their magic system. And it had some, like, really great world building in this, and I absolutely loved every minute. It's a Cantera Academy novel, and I think there is something else in this world that I haven't gotten yet. I have to look on Amazon. But if this author writes anything else in this world, I will absolutely read it. I just thought this story was so unique in the magic system. And I have not seen a magic system like this. Like the way it was developed. And I could not put it down. I absolutely devoured it. So if you like a unique magic system, this is definitely a book for you. So I was really into it. It was just an instant love I did not love, which was why I was a 4.5 and not a 5. But it was still really, really, really good. And then the next book that I read that was another 4.5 star was In Her Own League by Liz Tumforty. I have devoured every single book that she's written since last year. I have read every single book in the Windy City series. This is a spin-off of the Windy City series. We are following Monty in this book. He is the manager of the baseball team from Caught Up and Play Along. Every single book in that series has been a 5-star. This was so close to a 5-star. The only reason why it's not quite a 5-star, that it's a 4.5, was only because the second half, the pacing was a little bit off for me. It didn't quite measure up to the first half. Honestly, if the pacing worked all the way through, this would be an easy 5 stars. Because every other book I've read from her has been 5 stars. This is the only one that was that close. But we are following Monty in this one and his love story, where he meets Reese. Reese ends up owning the baseball team. And it's their love story. And I devoured this. It was so good. I love Monty. If you have not read any of the Windy City series, I highly recommend doing so. I have fallen in love with all the characters. And this is technically a spin-off, so in this one we actually do get glimpses of characters from the Windy City series in here. And I loved seeing every single person from the series in this, because we get glimpses of from Mile High, from The Right Move, and of course easily Caught Up and Play Along, because Kai and Isaiah, of course they're in this one because it's their team. And Rio from Rewind It Back also makes an appearance. And honestly, I can't recommend her books enough. I know she has a new book coming out as a new series in the fall. She is an auto-buy author for me now. I will buy anything she writes. Seriously. And I have found out that this world is being adapted for a TV show, I think it is. And I will be watching as soon as it airs. I cannot wait for the adaptation. Truly, seriously, I cannot wait. And if you haven't read any of these books, please do so. I want more people to read these books. So, it was an excellent story. Cannot wait to read more from this author. Next book I will be talking about, I gotta scroll as I go, is this one. The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. So, if you have been around my channel for long enough, you know how I have a hard time reading hyped books. Most hyped books don't work for me. However, I keep seeing this one around and I've been wanting to read it. And then my fiance Ray read this book, and he does not like romance, let me tell you. Romance is not his genre. He's more fantasy, sci-fi, and thriller. And he does not pick up romance. He read this before me. And then he told me I had to read it because he was tearing up at the end. And I was scrolling Instagram, and everyone was sobbing over the last part of this book. So I'm like, okay, if my fiance Ray's telling me to read a romance, I need to read it. So I immediately picked it up. And oh my god, I was sobbing so hard at the end of this book. I cannot tell you how many tears was rolling down my face. I was full on sobbing. And it's really, really hard to get me to cry at books. At most, I'll tear up. I very, very rarely sob when it comes to books. So, when I was sobbing at the end of this, I could not believe what I just read. This deserves all the hype and more. And trust me, I do not like vibe with hyped books usually. So when I say I absolutely love this book, I loved this book. Like, I have never sobbed so hard at a book, except for when I read, what was the other book that I sobbed at? It was my other, oh yeah, A Vow and Vengeance by Jacqueline Rodriguez. That was the other one that I sobbed to this year. And so if I'm telling you I sobbed at a book, that means you have to read it. If you want an emotional impact that's going to hit you in the gut and not let go, this is the book. I could not believe how this ended. I was a sobbing mess. Honestly, Ray had to give me a hug because I could not stop crying. Like, literally, it took me like a half an hour, like, to get it all out. Could easily have been an hour, if not more. I literally put in my review on GoodReads that Rebecca Yarros needs to pay my therapy bill because I will not ever get over what happened at the end of this book. And if you, like, I try not to do spoilers, so I'm not going to spoil this for anybody, for those who haven't read it yet. But seriously, if you want a book that's going to make you sob, this is the one for you. It's heavily emotional. And I did not want to stop reading. I think I read this all in one night too. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend. And so if you really want a good cry, this will do it. I promise. And then the next one that I thought was one of my best books, I'm going to scroll, was an arc that I got from NetGalley. It's called The Bridge Back to You by Rhys M. Nielsen. Thanks to Berkeley and NetGalley, I was able to read this story. And the reason why this one intrigued me was because the main characters are both chefs. And I love books that have anything to do with food in them. Because I'm a huge foodie. I have been watching the Food Network since I was a teenager. Maybe even before that. I used to watch Emerald when he used to do, like, his show. And Mario Batali. Like, I used to watch, like, I've been watching Food Network for as long as I can remember. Top Chef is one of my favorite ever shows, which I'm currently rewatching at the moment. So anything that has to do with cooking or food in a book makes me have to read it. And this book had that. And when I got approved for it, actually, I'm not sure if it was approved or if it was a read now from that guy. I can't remember. It says I got it from Berkeley, so most likely I probably got approved. And this has really, really good mental health representation and chronic health representation. And I absolutely love that in this book. So anything that has to do with, like, any kind of mental health or chronic health, I am all in. I have had anxiety for years, and sometimes I have some chronic health issues from time to time, but nothing like extreme. Well, unless you count chronic scoliosis. But anyways, this had really good communication as well. And there was a single dad, and I am a sucker for a single dad, especially when they, like, because single dads, I love that connection that they have to their kids and how, like, they'll do anything for their kid. And this also has a second chance at love. So if you want a good second chance romance and you want, like, all these representations in a book, I highly recommend, especially if you like reading about chefs. It was definitely a favorite of the month for me. I absolutely recommend. So hopefully you will pick this up in my recommendation. If you do, let me know. But it was so good. I did struggle a little bit with the main male character's mom. I'm not sure. There were some issues that I had concerning her, but overall I love the book. So I still recommend. I think people should read it. Alright, and then the next one is also one of my favorites of the year. Actually, this will be a favorite of all time for this year when I do my best books at the end of the year. And that is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borson. I have read a couple of other B.K. Borsons. I have read, not Grim Tides. Grim Tides isn't out yet. The first book in that. Oh yeah, Good Spirits. I read Good Spirits and I read First Time Caller. Good Spirits was a 5-star. I read that back in December of this past year. And First Time Caller I also read last year. First Time Caller was more like a 3.5 star rating for me. So I wanted to read this since I loved Good Spirits. And this knocked it out of the park for me. This will be an all-time favorite book. If I could find a special edition of this somewhere, I will be replacing this copy with a special edition because I absolutely loved this book so much. We are following, what's their names? We are following Jackson and Delilah. Delilah is a meteorologist for this TV station, and Jackson does kind of the same thing but for a radio station, and they get forced to have to work together. Because he doesn't like her at first. And I am down bad for Jackson. Like, seriously down bad for him. Like, I absolutely adored him from start to finish. And the way these two characters interacted. There's a one bed trope, if you like the one bed trope. There's so many great moments in this book. And, like, there's some... Jackson is also the guardian to his sisters because his mom is not in the picture, and it was a little bit heavy when it came to that, but there are some moments in this book where like it was just so emotional for me, and I was so invested, and I read this all in one. I think I literally read this all in one night. I'm pretty sure I did, because I remember finishing this book and I was just tearing up. But if you want a good romance where they're forced into stuff together, this is one for you. So if you like forced proximity, one bed trope, any of that stuff, you definitely need to read this. I was addicted. Oh no, my camera's dying on me. We will have to come back to this. I'll be back momentarily as soon as I can charge my camera. Okay, we're back. For you guys, it only took like a second. For me, it took like a couple of hours to get my camera rebooted. Maybe almost 3. But the last book I talked about was in Back to You by B.K. Borton. That was my last best book of March. Now we are into April. Now I'll tell you, I have 4 5-star reads in April. There were no 4.5 stars. They were all, the last 4 are all 5 stars. So let's get into the first one. For April, we have a short story from a little short story collection that Amazon does like these short story collections from time to time. This one was called The Road Home by Kristen Harmel. I love Kristen Harmel. I've been reading some of her books. I haven't in a while, but I do have a bunch. I got some of her backlist. I'm sure there's another one I need to get from her still, which I should have gotten today and I didn't. However, I love Kristen Harmel's writing from the ones that I've read from her. I've absolutely loved The Winemaker's Wife. And last year she came out with The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau, which was an excellent read. And when I saw that she added a story to this collection, I mean, technically it was on KU, but I bought it for 99 cents because I wanted to keep it on my Kindle. So The Road Home is like a real short story taking place during World War II. Yeah, World War II in France. And it's really like during that time frame, it's about this mother who lost her son a long time ago, but she ends up kind of sort of adopting this little girl when she was very young, like taking her in as like her own, because during that time, you know, children without parents, you know, bad things happen to them. So she ends up taking in this little kid and raises her as her own, basically, and then eventually, and basically it's about motherhood and what it actually means and what it happens with a little girl as she gets older. And it was a very emotional read. It was a very short story, but it packed a punch, and I absolutely loved it. I had to give it 5 stars. Kristen Harmel knows how to get so much emotion out of you in a very short amount of time. It's, what was the collection called? Good Intentions Collection. It's the 4th one. But I absolutely loved it. And if you like Kristen Harmel, or if you just like World War II stories or stories about motherhood, this is a very short one that you could definitely easily read or binge read super quick, because I sure did. I loved it. And then my next 5-star read for April was a thriller called Killing Me Softly by Sandy Jones. I actually got this as an ARC on NetGalley in St. Martin's Press. And to tell you the truth, I did not expect how much I was going to love this book. Like, I went into it with like 0 expectations. I haven't heard a single person talk about it. But I did scroll reviews on GoodReads after reading it, just because I was curious to hear what other people were talking about when it came to that. And then I'm like, holy cow. I mean, the ending to this book. Okay, so this is a thriller. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's like a domestic thriller about this couple, Charlie and Freya. They start out as like, they're completely inseparable. They're like this picture perfect couple that like everybody envies. And we get perspectives from both of them, Charlie and Freya, throughout the book. Kind of like a cat and mouse game, sort of. Like, we hear some things from Charlie's perspective, some things from Freya's perspective, and like how it all develops. I did not expect that ending. I thought it was going to go one way, and the ending completely took me by surprise. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I literally was like, what? That ending. It reminded me sort of the ending to... I had the same reaction when I read Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney last year. This may be a new favorite thriller because of the way this ended. Like, I totally did not see that ending coming. If you like a good domestic thriller, look no further than Killing Me Softly, because holy cow. Like, the whole time I was reading, I was like, interested. But I didn't know it was going to go that way. I'm like, holy freaking, what did I just read? I had to go back and reread the last page again, because I'm like, what? And again, what? It was a crazy ending. So if you want a book with a crazy ending and you'd like a good domestic thriller, I highly, highly, highly recommend. This might be one of my new favorite thrillers of this year. It was absolutely incredible. So I definitely recommend going to get it. It is, even though I read it as an ARC at the time, at least I think I did. I can't remember exactly when I read it. It was around the time it came out. But it's definitely out for sure. So if you are interested in anything I just said, please pick it up and tell me what you think, because I want to hear more people's thoughts on this, because I haven't heard a single person talk about it. So please, do yourself a favor, pick it up. And then the next 5-star read, I read quite a bit in the month of April, but very, very few 5 stars. The next one was an ARC that I got from Booksprouts. And I was totally not expecting to love this book as much as I did. So this is Willowbrook Wishes by Kristen Reeds. This is actually a clean, small-town romance. There is no spice whatsoever in this book. Like, seriously, there wasn't even a kiss until, like, 80% in. It's such a slow burn, but in the best way. This takes place in the 90s, so throughout the book, you know, you kind of get references to some of the music from the 90s, which I thought was really cool. Like, there was, like, a glimpse into the Backstreet Boys from then, and I absolutely love the Backstreet Boys. So that was kind of cool to hear, like, the music references from that time frame. But I also absolutely adored this small town, and I adored the characters. Everyone was just amazing, and like this found family aspect to this book was incredible. Everybody, like, there's a bit of a grumpy sunshine romance as well. It took a long time for like the Grumpy Sunshine to finally level out some, but I didn't mind because it was just so good. I love his grumpiness to her sunshine and how they like. Because basically, let me tell you a little bit about this. So, the main female character, she comes to this small town to help revamp and rebrand their little their fair their festival that they do every year. And their festival is not doing so well. So she's there to help them get it back together and get it running and get more people to come to it. So while she's there, like, the way the romance developed was just so good. So slow burn. I love a good slow burn. And I adored the characters. And I related to the female main character, Lily, so much about the feeling of needing to belong. Because sometimes I don't always feel like I belong in a lot of different ways when it comes to different things. I know it's very vague. I have to be vague because I can't reference anybody in particular in case they're watching. But there are times when I feel like I don't belong in a lot of different scenarios. We'll just put it that way. And so I really felt hardcore for Lily, who's our female main character. Like, I totally understood where she was coming from. And there was no miscommunication to be had in this. Like, there was maybe like a slight misunderstanding, but no miscommunication. And I love books that don't have that, because miscommunication is a trope that's used way too often in romance, and in this case there wasn't any of that. So I happen to love that about this book as well. And honestly, more people need to be reading this particular book. Let me see, is it out yet? I gotta look at the date. It came out May 5th. I read it before the 5th. I think I read it like, I think it was one of the first, wait, May? What am I doing? I rated this before May, I thought. Oops, I'm going into May books. Well, anyways, you should read Willowbrook Wishes. I mean, I'll probably talk about it again when I do, like, my next wrap-up, most likely. But you should still read it, because Willowbrook Wishes was that good. I also read, in April, Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. This was a buddy read with Just Violence Fiction's Patreon. A whole bunch of us read this together. Now it's part of the live show. At first, I gave it a 4-star. And then after we discussed it, I upped my rating to a 5-star because I realized how much I actually really love this book. And the violence that's in it. I seem to be a very villainous person these days, because I never realized how much I love violence in my books. I don't know why. But this is actually, this takes place in an academy, and I love books with academies. This one took me completely by surprise at how much I really love this. I mean, I knew I was going to like it going into it. I just didn't realize how much I was going to love it by the end. It was just so good. And then I found out the sequel comes out in December of this year. So I'll most definitely be getting the sequel when it comes out, because I need to know how this is going to like develop. Because the way this ended, I'm like, I need the next book. So after that discussion that we had, so much happens. Like, it's really hard to talk about this book without wanting to spoil stuff. Basically, the main character, what's her name again? I forgot her name. Oh yeah, Anna Maya, I think is her name. But she goes by Anna. She finds out at the beginning of this book that her family was cursed through her bloodline. And now she needs to go and clear her bloodline's name and make sure that, you know, she could get her magic back. Because, let's see. Yeah, they stripped her of her magics and branded them as traitors. And now she decided they're going to pay. So she goes back to this academy. So she could convince them that she wants to get into this academy so she could, while she's there, try and get her magic back. So, and then there's this whole gothic vibe to it. And there's a whole mystery about what happened with her bloodline. And there's just so much that happens in this book. It's action-packed from the beginning. Like, I could not put this down. I didn't want to put this down. I think I put it down only once because I absolutely had to. I can't remember for what reason. But I absolutely love this from start to finish. If you like a good magic story and you like academies in any way, shape, or form, and you want to know why she was cursed, like I do, you should definitely read this series because I'm very much excited for the sequel. I need to know. I really need to know stuff. So I will be keeping this book so I can reread at some point, probably when it gets closer to December. Because I know I'll want to reread before going into the sequel. Plus, I also really like these sprayed edges that we've got. So, yeah. That was my last 5-star read for April. So, yeah, I didn't have very many 5-star reads to share with you guys. But I did have some really good books overall. There was just a lot of average reads for the last couple of months. More so than 5 stars than I wanted. However, I'm also currently in a tiny bit of a slump. I recently came off of a few DNFs. And I started another book. And I just don't feel like reading. So that's not good. Because I have a lot of books I need to get to in this month. And next weekend, as I'm filming, I will be in Chicago. So I don't think I'm going to be doing much reading then because I will be at my sister's wedding. So, and I'm in the bridal party. So I might get a little bit of reading in on the plane, going there, and then on the plane coming home. We will see. I could be tired from the whole weekend. So I have to be up super early for hair and makeup on Saturday. But we will see how things go. I'm hoping I could get back into reading soon because I have just not been in the reading mood lately. I've gotten back into Happy Color. So maybe I'll try like an audiobook while I'm doing that maybe. Or something. I'll figure something out because I have a lot of books I want to read. And a very short amount of time left in the month. I swear this month goes by so fast. So, we will see how my reading month shapes up after May is over. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a huge thumbs up. If you got this far into the video, you don't feel like being chatty, why don't you leave me a bird emoji or a raven, you could find one, for Wicked Onyx, because this was definitely one of my favorites from the past couple months. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you stick around. If you do, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. And I'll see you all next time.